that I'm lacking.
Yeah, and I think that's
It's almost
exactly what
like,
it is.
if you like if a part of your body hurts
Yeah,
and like your body's telling you that you have to like either exercise, like stretch it or like heal it somehow.
right.
It's like now like the thought of Hazel. And then also just like worrying about just like shit like money and stuff has become a thing of like this is all just a signal to me.
Right.
Like it's an internal spiritual signal that something needs to be either exercised or healed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. I dig it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Thanks.
because I think it's definitely what it is, and that's like the fun paradox of it, right? It's not really a paradox; it just sounds like it. That like the stuff that holds us back is actually the stuff that pushes us forward. Because then, if there's no pain, there's no reason to move. You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Truly.
so I dig it, and that's exactly how I would interpret it if I was in that situation. And dang straight, dang straight, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So these things call for resolution and constantly. But then
Mm-hmm.
it gets to the point
Absolutely.
where they're just like fucking crying and screaming to get resolved. So they're like not gonna leave you alone. You know? And that forces the
Yeah.
choice.
No, literally, literally.
Yeah. That's good. That's why it's like, you know, this Matrix is great because it really does give us all of the experiences to, it's like automated. This like when I say it's like it's an automatic process or it's an automated process because it's like it it can't let you stay in the same place. Like some external experience is gonna come that's gonna reveal something inside, and that something will just keep bothering you until you do something about it.
Right.
So, but they're all really guided, and that whole all that feeling and all the fact that you went through that relationship and the fact that you felt that for a long time and what you're feeling now, it's all guided completely like a book practically, like a script. It's like not to remove the magic from it and say it's like
Right. No,
deterministic,
I agree.
but it's like it's completely guided, very personalized, constructed experience of not
Yeah.
just like random bullshit.
Yeah. And today I actually had a thought.
Yeah.
I was sitting there, smoking a cigarette, thinking about Hazel, feeling a little upset, and I was just like, bro, why am I so like how should I phrase it's hard to put this thought into words, but it was just kind of like it's almost like an anime moment. It's like I was saying things like, when did I become so powerless within myself and so unresolved to do things that like I just know I would want to do and feel good and will help me improve. And
Hmm.
it's like I felt a longing for the spunk I once had. It's funny because I know that spunk will only come in doing all these things that just the whole purging process.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I hear you. It's a good thing. People forget that.
In a way, I feel like an old man because it's like, uh, it's like the people that kind of just live their whole lives until they eventually have a midlife crisis and start thinking about what do they actually care about and how um you know kind of just reminiscing on how they used to feel in the past and wondering why it's gone or what they could do to get it back. It's like, man, I just remember being a kid and just like being so like not giving a fuck. Like if obviously when you're a kid you kind of don't fully understand things and it's kind of like you don't understand you don't understand when you're a kid.
Yeah,
Even though like you're like even though you're uncorrupted, you at the same time don't understand because you haven't experienced stuff yet
yeah,
and you
yeah,
kind of don't see the weight in every little action.
yeah.
Um, but it's just like you still have that divine quality is very much alive and not covered in layers of muck.
Dang sure, dude.
I noticed like these last couple of days I've been fapping a lot. Like normally my thing is like I'll fap like once a day or something or once every other day, but these
Mm-hmm.
last couple of days I've just been like really going at it. And I was like, bro, I was like fucking sitting there, I was like, bro, why? Why? Where did this? I was thinking about where did this urge? You know, obviously part of it is purely just, desire, but why is it why do I feel it so strongly? And I just kind of started thinking about
Mm-hmm.
anything relating to sex or romance that I experienced in my childhood. Mm. How might it have affected me? My a lot of it was just the stigma. I had a so I used to be like super close to my brother
Yeah,
and when we were little and I would idolize him a lot. And one of his main things was always talking about like sex and getting a lot of girls. And he was one of those guys.
right,
He literally has like a body. I've said this before. He has a body count of like over 300. You
right.
know, and so I kind of put just put sex on a pedestal in my head for me. And then it was like, then I discovered fapping. I was like, oh, sick. I could just have sex by myself. Let's go. And then boom, and then you get fucked, kid.
Right.
And then you have like a couple relationships that don't turn out well, and that at that point it's just like a fucking cherry on top. It's like, well, boom, idiot, idiot.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's cool. Honestly, in a way, people talk about, and there's truth to it, the notion that in your youth you should be using it to its fullest extent and building yourself, practicing all these healthy habits and making money and stuff. It's true. It's true. But in a way, I feel like despite the stagnation and corruption that I've experienced in my youth, that it was all making the most out of it because I mean, analyzing my internal state has taught me so much. And it's put it in your words, like I fucking know more about life than like half these fucking retards.
Right. Yeah, just by
Than,
being
than
around.
almost all of these retards that have like a fucking uh, a successful career and like three kids and all this stuff. It's like
Yeah,
these so-called experts.
yeah,
It's like, man, and that's also such a funny like standard for it, right? Like actually just something I realized that people that it's like, hey, if you make money and you support yourself and you have a wife that loves you and you take care of your kids and all this stuff and like you're in like relatively good health, then it's like boom, that's all you could ever want, right? Like that's what everyone wants.
yeah.
And I'm not even saying there's anything wrong or like there's anything true or illusory about wanting those things. That's a separate issue.
Right.
But it's funny because when you think about it, it's like, bro, all of that stuff is like literally
Thanks, man.
base is just like basic animal stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it's just like
If you're just a
comfort.
fucking monk or a caveman, if you're a caveman, a purported and ostensible caveman in 15,000 BC,
I hear you. Purported and
you got
ostensible.
your you got your mates, so you could pass on your genetics, and you got a cave. You got your fucking cave where you know that predators are scared of the cave for some reason, and then you go out there and you fucking bonk some nigga on the head and come back with dinner, then it's like you made it, right? You made it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's like still what everyone's fucking doing today,
Oh, it is.
except it's called getting married and having a job.
Right. Right.
It's the exact same thing, and it's funny because it's like even by the NPC logic, it's like, oh, we're humans, are fucking are you know mm, the our sentience gives us a completely different like fucking like we are lucky to have this capability and this possibility to explore life into like a much greater depth and have access to like technology and all these things. Then we just use it to like do the exact same fucking thing, just make it look different.
Yeah. I do be like them, my dude. Yeah, just survival based consciousness. That's what most people are concerned with. Survival based. Or it's sort of
Mm-hmm.
like comfort. Like comfortable survival based, right? Before in the ostensibly and purportedly past, it was just survival based, right? Now it's just like comfort and survival based, which is kind of
But
still the same
yeah,
thing.
it's still straight up the
It's still
exact same. It's the exact
it,
same
it's
thing.
it's actually instead of a physical survival because nobody's actually worried that they're gonna be. Most people are not actually worried that they're gonna be physically unfit, right? It's like a mental survival, right? It's like what can you do to like not go insane and like survive in your own head. It's kind of got shifted from like a physical survival to like a, and so for that you need to be like comfy, right? So that you kind of just be like droned out and not think about anything. And hence you survive. Like, and that's the best way to survive. The best way to survive is to not do anything new. If you went to the same fucking pond for the same 40 years and you drink the water and it's nice and clean, well, then there's no reason to go to that other fucking pond because you don't know, maybe it's not clean, maybe you die, right? So survival based consciousness just makes roboticism. It makes fear. It
Mm-hmm.
makes robotic decisions and loops to because that's the safest thing. And yeah, dude, most people do be like that. That's for sure. That's for sure.
I also had another funny thing.
I wanted to talk about
As,
the sex stuff, but we might move too far away from it if you say that. But you can
no,
say it
actually, it's
anyway.
funny because what I was going to say is maybe not the direction you're trying to take it in, but is related. So, part of this whole narrative
Yeah, yeah,
of like it being the ultimate dream to like, you know, have a good paying job and eventually fall in love with somebody and build a family with them. It's like,
yeah.
um, where was I going with this? A big part of that narrative is people say that man, men and women, men and women are meant to be together
Yeah.
and they need each other to survive. It's like, no, don't. They need each other to reproduce. They need each other to reproduce. Man, actually, by this narrative, man specifically, doesn't fucking need women at all. It's like we're supposedly the ones that go and fucking fight some 800-pound motherfucker with like claws and fangs, and like we literally have to 1v1 or 2v1 this nigga to like make sure that this stupid bitch at home doesn't die. and is fed.
Right.
You know, like what do you mean we need each other? I don't need fucking anybody.
It's true.
I would like someone in theory, I guess. Although that hasn't really worked out for me the way I wanted it to, so that's a big question mark.
Well, yeah, you're.
And then the only like other thing left to cover is like what reproduction. Man,
Well, you do need them in the sense that your beast brain needs them. Because your beast brain wants the three central pillars of like illusion is food, sex, and money or power. Money could be substituted for power. So
yeah.
in that sense, you
But
do
it's
kind of
funny.
need them.
It's
Looking from that
y- y-
perspective,
yeah,
if you're following beast consciousness, right? Then you need it because then you wake up and you're like horny and angry and like, oh, give me sex, right? It's like that's what most people are. They need that shit. They literally need it, or they're like crackheads. They get depressed. They get like fucking. It's like as if they don't have enough minerals in their diet or something. They like start to get fucking brain mad cow disease, right? They need it, you know, which makes sense. It's like your body's like hardwired to need it, or hardwired, right? If you're in that consciousness.
yeah.
But in the sense that they don't fucking do anything for you, I agree. I totally agree. Power necessarily doesn't do anything for you either, but people, still.
Oh, well, go ahead and say your thing. What did you want to say on the topic?
Oh, with sex. Uh, Sexy sex. Something about fapping or something? I forgot. Give me 1 second. If you
Hmm.
start saying other stuff, I'll probably remember it, but then no, I'll interrupt you when I remember.
I don't remember what I'm trying to recall. I was talking about. Was it because of something I said recently, or you? This is like
No,
a
fart.
point that you've been holding in your head for a minute.
I've been holding it.
Maybe something about.
Oh yeah, I remember fapping. Um, for me personally, yeah, I think the main thing is putting sex on a pedestal, right? That's actually what makes fapping, um, desirable, right? Just because I know now that I can be in states where fapping is like completely inconceivable, and then other times where it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of good, and then the only times you could actually fap is like, okay, so it's like the sex on a pedestal thing, right? That's what it is. But then going deeper, it's like it's a it's like a power trip or a hatred, right? It's like a power trip pretty much. That it's like, why is it on a pedestal? Because it makes you powerful. Because it means that you have like status that you can have sex, right? Um it gives you a power, right? From an external source. But um that power trip aspect of it can really only be fueled by like hatred, by like disconnection, right? Like you can't have. I personally can't have a loving fap. It has, or maybe you could, but it's kind of rare. It's like, but most of the time,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
most of the time, it's like, yeah, fuck
it's
this
always
bitch and
dirty.
I'm the man, like which is kind of most people's sexual. Every guy's sexual. It's like it's not even a fantasy. It's just like I don't know. It like there has to be some sort of hatred, like it really is like stemming from hatred, and that's why I noticed the only time it's actually conceivable to fap for me is if I'm stressed, which means I am the energy that I'm exuding is a kind of it's a real like the fapping is like a release of hatred. That's what it is. Um, because I'm stressed about something or I'm frustrated about something, right? So I have like this hateful energy in me, and now I want to take it out on some mental like picture, right? Some mental woman, right? To be like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
and now I feel good again, right? So it's like that. I realized that for me is yeah, it's like putting it on a pedestal. But why do we put it on a pedestal? Because it gives us a power trip. And to really run a power trip, you have to have hate inside of you. Um, but if you're like so totally chill and just chill and vibing with your energy, why the it's completely inconceivable to fap because you'd have to like summon that hatred to actually do it. Um,
Hmm.
but then when we're in stagnation, that hatred kind of comes automatically because it's like why are we when we're in stagnation we have like a deep seated frustration that we can't like break out of it sort of.
Hmm.
It's like it's like you're stagnated so it's like you feel uncomfortable in your body and in your energy so then you have to so then that kind of makes a stress or makes like a poison or a hatred automatically which then just gets what's the word released in the fapping or that's like one outlet for it right
Hmm.
um yeah so that's my thoughts on it is a for me I notice
That's an
actually
interesting take. I will take that into consideration the next time I get the urge.
yeah that it really does come down to that power trip but the power trip can only be facilitated by hatred or a sense of disconnection um just disconnection but disconnection makes hatred right because then it's like if you're disconnected it's like you fear everything else and then so you must elevate yourself as the god of power above everything else right because it's not you it's you and everything else so you have to be bigger than that and be a big
Hmm.
status symbol so uh and that inevitably makes like a fear of it which makes a hatred of it right because then it's
Hmm.
like really similar vibrations whereas fear is like cowering hatred is like uh 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 how to say it, like challenging right but in a hateful way in a disconnected way so it's all kind of the same thing fear hatred power trip disempowerment
Hmm.
yeah but I do notice I only fap when I'm stressed right that's what people colloquially know it as is like it's a stress reliever because well, why are we stressed you know if we recognize in every moment that everything that happens to us is exactly what is supposed to happen to us without any sort of uh like mental uh, intellectualization just like accept every moment that happens to us is exactly what's supposed to happen bar none because the universe makes no mistakes this is a highly personalized experience that's given every moment uniquely for you exactly the flavor you need well then you're
Hmm.
just in awe that you're receiving all these gifts every moment even when they're not what you expect them to be and you
Right.
see the process inside and you're like oh I see why I feel that I see why that happened and that revealed this discomfort in me this uncomfortable energy in me that now needs observation and it's like once you see that it just becomes so absorbed and like how to say like enthralled like just inspired by that process too like wow this is really happening and it's like what hatred could you possibly have but then when we're disconnected and sort of just start doing things blindly and forgetting that every experience is highly personalized just for you, then it becomes a thing of like, oh, you're against the universe. We don't phrase that in our heads, but that's actually the energy that's happening is where as if there's something to fight that's external. And so now we must elevate ourselves as a powerful being in our heads by fapping and having a power trip because that feels nice in that like construct, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's it. That's all I got. But
No, that's good. Hey, Mike, I'm not gonna lie.
dude, we're
I'm
dying. We're dying.
I'm hella dying.
We're dying.
I've been dying since we got on this call, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, I had wanted some snacks. I knew that you were itching for some, and
yeah. No,
unfortunately, we got stood up by James.
it
He went
was
to FAP instead.
it was good shit. It was I like that we did this. And I was gonna say about 10 minutes ago, I was gonna be like, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna decide to leave at 12 and James is gonna come at like 11:53. and then we're gonna have to stay up another hour for.
Absolutely. All right, bro.
All right, while he's not
Super
here, we gotta go. Also, I recorded this and I'm gonna post
excellent.
it.
Um, yeah, man. I don't. I mean, I'm like 90. I'm not stacking tomorrow. I'm not stacking tomorrow, but I will
Because you're going to
chat though,
Brooklyn.
like text throughout the day.
Because you're going to
But yeah, I'm
Brooklyn.
gonna be with my brother for his birthday.
Yeah, yeah. Let's chill. Let's chill. All right, sounds good, my dude. Yeah, yeah. We'll hang out.
Sunday
So,
though, most likely. But yeah, we'll keep in touch.
you said what most likely? Sunday?
We'll keep in touch. Most likely Sunday snacks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sunday snacks. We need all three eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, my man. It has been a real pleasure, as
Yeah, dude.
always.
This is a dank talk. I liked it. That was
Yep.
awesome.
You have yourself a good night.
You too, my dude. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon, my birdie.
Love you, sir. No, peace.
Yep. I'll see you.